Do you plan on watching the Oscars this year? It's a household name, but with no one watching, are the Academy Awards over? The ratings paint a really grim story. In 1998, the Oscars drew 55 million viewers to the glamorous ceremony broadcast. In 2010, numbers hovered just above 40 million. But each year since, they have plummeted, reaching an all-time low of 9.8 million in 2021. While we did see a jump to 15 million viewers in 2022, we're chalking that up to the unbelievable Will Smith-Chris Rock slap rather than a sudden spark in admiration for the Academy, and it's still the second lowest audience ever. So why does no one watch the Oscars anymore? Maybe we can think about it in terms of a vibe shift, a concept that The Cut described as when a once dominant social wavelength starts to feel dated. The Oscars certainly does seem caught in this swing between their once highbrow status to now being a kitsch television event barely skimming our radar. Because the vibe isn't exactly a mysterious dust-shaking force, but merely a reflection of popular intent. Audiences are conscious in their arts and culture choices, and the film industry has given us new ways to watch and talk about film. It's these tangible shifts that are pushing the Academy Awards to the brink of death. One of the shifts pivotal in the decline of the Oscars is the digital protest. In 2015, #OscarsSoWhite protested the Academy's diversity problem when no actors of colour were nominated in the top 4 acting categories.
There were no people of color nominated in 2015. And this was the year that gave us Selma. I took to Twitter and I said one thing: Oscars so white they asked to touch my hair.
This scrutiny was then amplified when the film industry was at the centre of the Me Too movement in 2017.
We saw your boobs. We saw your boobs. In the movie that we saw your boobs.
And the criticisms are not without reason. In the 2010s, 89% of nominations went to white people and over 70% to men. A third, less popular hashtag also emerged in 2017 on LinkedIn of all places, which pointed to another reason for declining viewership. #OscarsSoOld. Like the other hashtags, it confronted deep-rooted flaws and generational shifts that have always plagued the Academy, while reiterating that the predominantly white, elderly, male voting members can't represent the film industry or its audience. #OscarsSoOld also criticised the Academy for not evolving with viewing preferences.
Well, girl, how old are you? I'm getting nervous.
Younger viewers won't jump to a suboptimal experience like a broadcasted ceremony. As Malini Kantaya writes in HuffPost, when highlights are so readily available, why sit idle in front of the television, if you even own one, for 3+ hours just to get the scant, juicy bits? In 2021, a fourth hashtag created by the Academy itself, #OscarsFanFavorite, looks like an accidental nail in their own coffin. By creating a social media-driven People's Choice Award, the Academy allowed Twitter users to vote for Amazon's terrible Cinderella movie, creating general embarrassment and ridicule of the institution's attempt to get down with the people.
Get your shit together!
But of course, the Academy's problems don't exist in a vacuum. The Grammys, the Golden Globes, and the Emmys are also at all-time ratings lows. A few years ago, the publication Tilt queried the merit of award shows by running a poll that asked its audience, do award shows really matter? A whopping 78% of responders said no. Despite all this, the critical approval of an Oscars nomination or win can bring films serious commercial success. The Australian box office for Nomadland, which was the lowest grossing Best Picture ever, increased by 180% in the weekend following its win. Other films at the 2021 awards also saw a big uptick in ticket sales. So even if it's not able to secure viewers for its own red carpet, clearly the Oscars still puts bums in seats for the films themselves, flexing its lasting hold on public consumption. Because ultimately, the public still does love film, including those that win Oscars.
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences presents its annual awards for film merit. It's a yearly celebration for Hollywood.
It seems that this is really an issue around gatekeeping and the fact that the Academy can no longer gatekeep film. People loved seeing Parasite win Best Picture and 3 other awards at the 2019 ceremony. Even those of us who skipped the broadcast still shared the iconic pictures of Bong Joon-ho kissing his statuettes. But the Oscars seal of approval doesn't replace the joy of discovering Parasite in the first place. The fun doesn't come from watching this movie win an award. It comes from your friend recommending a genre-defying Korean film, watching it in bed, and days later DMing them about that twist. We're no longer in the Oscars' heyday when a TV in the lounge room was the centre of all culture. Film discourse has transformed. Now the Oscars are a side note, an anecdote to be discussed around a water cooler or at a family picnic. YPulse backs this up, finding young people don't engage with award shows because they don't care who wins. Even when they do find out the results, usually via social media, it's unlikely the award winners align with their tastes.
You are so fucking boring.
Instead, self-curated selections are the more compelling endorsement of what's good and relevant. What feels more meaningful? Sending your friend a TikTok analysing a movie that you streamed together delivered from your personalised algorithm? Or asking them, so did you watch the Oscars? These days, the dominant film culture sits outside the Academy's silo of Hollywood releases with big marketing budgets. Netflix and other streaming giants offer old favourites alongside critically acclaimed original productions. Free services like SBS On Demand and Canopy expand access to independent, classic and foreign titles. And even with this diverse roster of streaming platforms available, audiences are still visiting the cinema at rates consistent with the last few decades across all age groups. Film festivals showing independent cinema, like the iconic Melbourne International Film Festival, boosted strong physical attendance numbers with home watching throughout the pandemic. In its second digital year, 47% of the festival's new audiences were under 25, and this age group is watching an average of 6.3 films each. So clearly, the community has an appetite for cinema far beyond what the Oscars provide, in both volume and variety. The Oscars' shrinking importance is driven by apathy more than a desire to boycott. To put it simply, the vibe has shifted the Oscars with it. Now, film culture is driven by self-discovery and sharing insight rather than the marketing frenzy of a Hollywood release. As one Reddit user posted on a thread denouncing the Oscars, "I know what I like and why I like it." Some people are still urging the Academy to reinvent itself. And yes, the Old Boys Club could benefit from some market research. But instead of grasping at relevancy, the Oscars could process that their future can't rely on the vision of awards handed out on a stage reflected back by broadcast metrics.